Music stops now. I figure out why music is not stopping as the way that I want. Is because I'm using these amazing headphones that have amazing functionality of stopping and starting whatever I want whenever I'm taking them off or on. Welcome everyone. Welcome. It's nice of you all to join me. Very nice seeing the faces that I saw just recently when I was on the stream with in Time Show. But it was kind of like it was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. But you know, I'm a talkative bitch, so I must talk more. And there were so much more topics and so much more conversation to be had for me to finally get it through my thick skull that maybe I should just shut up and get it off for the evening. And I just thought that I didn't do a video for you guys in a while. Like today was a short one, but it's like it is on. And we're planning to do more conversations tomorrow, but I instead decided to go for a stream. So welcome, 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 welcome. I love you all. Let's start this. So first things first, guys, the most important, if you haven't seen the shorts today, we have done it. We have gathered the money that is necessary for the truck. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy. Like you cannot believe how happy I am. Let me put it this way. I always am thinking of myself like, you know, like I'm a small guy, like with little to no like kind of outreach. You know, there are so many big YouTubers. Like when I saw like Artur Rehi, like doing like a gathering stream for like 90,000 euros. I was like, incredible. So I thought like, okay, let's try this with the Snickfin Brigade, and we'll set this out for a goal for 15,000. I said like, can we do it? And they said like, we're gonna do a next in June, but like if you can gather this 15,000 in a month, that would be great. We did it in 4 days. You guys are amazing. You are absolutely amazing. So huge thanks. We finished it. Let's stop with the gathering. Don't worry about if you didn't. We're gonna work more with the Sniffing Brigade. So we'll find a way how to get money to the armed forces of Ukraine. But I just wanted to say thank you so very much. That really matters. Sveicini no Latvijas. Ciao, ciao, Jāni. Yes. That's the fundraising. So we did what I was expecting for us to do in a month. We did in 4 days. Maybe actually you should give me more shit. Maybe I'm just underestimating you as a community. Yeah, that's right. Why is it me that I need to evaluate just how much I can do, just how much you can do? Tell me that you can do more. Be proactive. Like I'm pretty sure you as a community can put me in my place and said like, of course we can do this. So anyway, yeah. So we start with that, and someone says obviously if you want to find the playlist of the music that I always play, just write !playlist, and then the bot will return you the link to the playlist. But beyond that, there was a comment from Fancy Dancer. And he or she said that, remember, if you like the artist, buy the music to support it. To be honest, I was a little bit perplexed by the statement, because who buys music? Like, I don't know a single person that buys music. You can go to the concert to a band if band is in your city, but generally speaking, we all just use like streaming services. So it is my expectations that if you're going to be listening to the music, you're going to be listening it on the streaming services. So listen the music on the streaming services, I guess that was what's suggested. And second thing, remember, if you find and watch their music on the playlist that I provide, you're going to be watching music on the creator's channel. So they will get something from YouTube. I'm not sure how to buy music anymore. I'm not sure. It's like, do I buy CDs? Are CDs still a thing? Like, am I too old? Yeah. Anyway, that's just kind of good fun and so on. Let's get to the actual good stuff. And the actual good stuff starts with. Oh, let's talk about the topic of the day: deep strikes, deep fucking strikes, deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Oh my god. Fun fact, guys, I ordered myself, well, not really body pillow, but like Budanov's pillow. Like on Etsy, you can order yourself like a pillow and they just make a pillow with any kind of character you propose. I ordered myself a plushy pillow with Budanov, so now I'm gonna have it. Just because. Yes, no weird fetish. I just want to make Ali jealous. But the things are happening. Deeper and deeper things are happening because we see that Storm Shadow missiles that were delivered to Ukraine are now being utilized very, very nicely. And as with all weapons so far, the floodgates are open. Like France has said that they will deliver Storm Shadows. I hear already additional talks of potentially some other missiles. And that's great. That's great. That means, and the most important part, is like with every escalation, we go into this weird cycle where the weapons that needs to be provided, Ukraine is requesting those weapons. There's like, can you give us those weapons? Can you give us those weapons? Can you give us those weapons? Like all of the tap dance needs to happen on the Western side. Like some of the countries that have humiliation fetish needs to be humiliated before supplying weapons to Ukraine. And then finally, we get into a situation where weapons get delivered by some one country, mostly UK, and then they see that any kind of fear of escalation of Russia that they had in their mind is just non-existent. So important part is what we are saying here and have been saying before, is that Russia has nothing to answer. Like Russia and Putin did the mistake of escalating too far and too deep, basically. So with doing that, he negated any kind of weight of additional escalation. And as we saw, when two helicopters and two planes were struck in Russia by the anti-air systems, some people say it was Patriot, but it is unclear because Ukraine has like a modern version of Patriot missiles, and they have like a 50-kilometer range, but apparently these planes were struck beyond that. So I'm not completely sure how it was happening, but there are questions if it was Patriot or something else. It doesn't matter, really. But the point is, after that, Russia tried to give a payback of escalation, essentially. Oh, you tell us that, we're going to strike you where it hurts. We're going to strike you inside of Kyiv and destroyed your fancy new systems, to which they just got bitch slapped and said, well, your wonder weapons are not working. It's like, so it's like, this meme with the guy sweating profoundly. It's like, and that's pretty much how all of the Russian rocket forces are feeling, because if the missiles and rockets that they have been investing so long and so much into are not effective, wow. No escalation again possible. So, and that prevents any kind of political escalation. And that leaves basically countries say, we give Ukraine long-range missiles, and Russia just like, Can I get another scoop of that delicious chocolate pudding, please? And they just like put a lot of water into their mouth and they cannot say anything. So point is, like, what am I getting this to? F-16s. Ukraine will get F-16s. By this point, it's not even like a discussion. I've been telling you this before and before and before. It's just we need to do this tap dance once again. We need to do this. Derek writes, US PAC-2 has a range of 160, but Ukraine, so far, they haven't shown that they have PAC-2. So far, have been using PAC-3. So PAC-3 is a lot more modern, but I think the range of it is just a little bit less. But don't quote me on that. Not a weapons expert. You can do the holy war about the weapons in chat. I allow it, but don't ask me. I'm not a weapons expert. I'm a guy on YouTube. Like, I mean, if you believe about weapons on a guy on YouTube, like, I don't know. Ask Laser Pig. There we go. I order you. I order you. It's like next time Laser Pig appears, spam him about the Patriot systems. So he is confused. Why is everyone suddenly want to find out more about Patriot system or Perun? But then again, like if you ask Perun, then Perun is gonna answer like with an hour-long video. Is it bad though? I don't know. TJ Joe, do you believe will mass? Okay. Do you believe they will mass force and punch through with armor to the coast with speed? By they, do you mean Ukrainians? If you mean Ukrainians, then basically the assessment of what I've heard is that Ukraine has up to 20 brigades that are armored and prepared. Some of them are still coming in. And these brigades, it's a massive force. It's a massive force. It's a force that have the ability to punch through anything. So the question will be where they will want to punch through, because what Ukraine needs is just a punch through about, like 20, 30, 40 kilometers, maybe 50 kilometers wide part of the 1,000-kilometer front line. 20 brigades is like 4 armored brigades is more than enough. But I think what we need to understand is that Ukraine, so the notion is that Ukraine can do anything. Like that amount of force can punch through anywhere. So the question is where? And when I say punch through, that means that the front will crumble. Like that, there is no questions asked. The analysts that I'm listening to, they're saying that is a significant force, and they can punch through in deep for like tens of kilometers, maybe up to 100 kilometers. But where? And that's kind of the question. So if it's going to be south, I'm pretty sure they will punch through in south. If it's going to be, for example, massively encircle Bakhmut and destroy all of the Wagner so no one escapes, it is also a possibility. Because we need to understand that with with Wagner grinding themselves down in Bakhmut, if Ukraine also starts destroys the last of Wagner that they're having inside of Bakhmut, that's pretty much all of the Russian attacking force. So Russia will not be able to execute assault maneuvers. So for the war effort, it's good, because you destroy any kind of potential for the Russian force to attack. So technically that means you can prepare even more for the next offensive. But the problem with that is obviously the optics, that there is less political weight in just destroying the enemy force. And I believe political ambitions play very high role on the battlefield right now, because people really want to see, because the expectations are so high. Expectations are Ukraine is going to get to Crimea. That's the expectation. I don't know if it will, but that's the expectations that I'm hearing. Level 70. Hey, Georgia, isn't the arrest of those Russian scientists for treason an admission or that their hypersonic missiles are just hype? Yeah, to an extent. I mean, obviously the most the monstrous was the fact that those missiles got shut down, because that's completely unprecedented, right? Because it was the missile that Putin was scaring the whole West that oh my God, this is gonna go through. And we just talked at the In Time show. Obviously, there are these analysts who's like, oh my God, if there's going to be one nuclear missile, then that's all it takes, just one nuclear missile. No, it's not. No, one nuclear missile does not solve anything. I don't understand that logic. It's oh my God, if a one nuclear missile flies, and it's then it's over. It's no. If we go into the nuclear war, basically, I mean, if Russia already fires nukes, that's already a nuclear war. Correct me. Am I crazy? I'm not crazy, right, chat? If Russia fires nukes and we intercept them, that is already nuclear war. There is there is kind of at that point, it's already doesn't matter. It's one or many. But the point is that our system, what was demonstrated is that our system can intercept. So even if in the case of a nuclear war, what am I seeing is potentially there will be damage sustained by the Western allies, but potentially some of the nukes will land and there will be a lot of casualties. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that nuclear war is good, but what I'm saying is maybe the Western powers will sustain some damage, but there is not going to be anything left of Russia. Russia is gone. Everything will be burned to ground. And I already told you about the strategic nukes that with capabilities that the Western powers have, and the complete shit what Russian air defense is. The missiles, every missile of a strategic significance to deliver payload of nuclear weapons intercontinental, they will just not lift off. There will be a strike that will prevent any kind of strategic missile to even lift off. So, yeah, I agree that obviously arrest of the scientist is important, but I think it was just like really nice to see that those Kinjals just got obliterated. Hey, Dick, nice to see you here. Nice to see you. Little something from the shills. Ah, you already did a lot more for me. Like no money needed. I really enjoyed being on the show. That was really great. Susie, thank you so much for $10. I appreciate it. Aussie T, 5 memberships, appreciated. And Kripke, welcome, welcome. And RC gifted 10 members. Thank you so much. All right. Many questions. Ali, can you write me on Discord? Do we have the soft solution for the questions? Like, can we get the questions? What's the status of that? Because I'm still trying to figure out how to answer all of your questions, guys, and still no good solution. Great Southern Land, F-16s are being phased out. Would you expect hundreds to become available for numerous countries? I mean, that's what Ukraine is asking for, because Ukraine is asking and saying, "Hey, F-16 is the most common plane, one of the most common planes in the world," and a lot of them, like a lot of countries, like for example, drum roll, Denmark. Yeah, for helvete, Denmark. Yeah. For example, Denmark is phasing out some of the F-16s because they're buying F-35s. And Ukraine is saying, it's like, just give us old ones. Like we'll even buy them. Just allow it, allow it. So that's kind of the point. And so yeah, I'm seeing that Ukraine will get a lot of F-16s. I believe the number was circulated was not hundreds. I believe the number that Ukraine was circulating was like 40 to 50, something like this. Yeah. Yeah, nukes won't leave Russian airspace for sure. Remember, guys, if you write a comment or a question to me, write it at with like an email and Ukraine matters, and then with 2 words, and then I will be able to read it because it's highlighted for me. Ken Router, Storm Shadow was used on the same day they announced it. I'm hoping Ukrainian mechanics will be secretly trained on the F-16s for the last 6 months. Yes, this is something I said on the In Time show just now. That yes, we should definitely look at the example of Storm Shadow, that they were delivered, all of the things were sorted out, and they were announced only on delivery. So we've definitely seen that secrecy has risen up in deliveries to Ukraine. So that's why I'm really hoping to see more, and that's why I'm also additionally optimistic for the offensive, because we see more and more, for example, vehicles. There was like recently a video posted with like American armored MRAPs. It's armored personnel carrier vehicles that were never announced. They were just never announced, and they were right there, and there was like a lot of them, like a lot of them. All right. I am inference, Karen, I'm an inference software engineer. I can help IT knowledge and building a custom website to get you more traffic. Let me know if you're interested. I'm not sure what does more traffic means. Like, does it means like it's a website? Karen, Karen, can you go to? Are you on Discord? If you're on Discord, can you write me in private on Discord? It's or something like this. I need to understand more. I'm not a software engineer, guys, so I need, like, I'm sorry if this sounds dumb, but I am dumb. So sorry for that. But I would love, like, I mean, if that means more people watching, so we support Ukraine even more. Yes. More support for Ukraine. Ozzy Buga. Now that Ukraine will be receiving jets, is there a wish list platform or more like a case of some extra ammo missiles needed now? There have been different missiles that were discussed, but generally speaking, they want any kind of NATO platform, because all of the missiles so far, they needed some kind of a special adjustment and so on. The only difference were the HARM missiles, for example, but the HARM missiles are good, but they're not being utilized to the full extent. HARM missiles are being pre-armed on the ground for Ukrainian planes. And when Ukrainian planes fly, they cannot kind of come back with the armed missiles, so they need to fire them anyway. And Storm Shadows, they also kind of have somewhat similar things. Like Storm Shadows have all of their target coordinates programmed into them before they are released. So they are programmed on the ground. So pilots themselves, they are just delivery vehicles. With NATO arsenal, they will get better radars and they will be able to utilize a lot more missiles. I believe Perun had a whole segment, and he's a big fan of aviation, on what kind of anti-air missiles would be perfect for Ukraine. There are like some really sweet ones, but generally more anti-air. Like jets means more anti-air, so essentially negating and even dominating the skies potentially. Yeah, support me, like, subscribe. It wasn't me who said it. I just read the comments. But you should like and subscribe. Love you all. Um, guys, yeah, okay. Gaga TV. Any update on Uncle Porgoshan? I love the Russians in all of the infighting. Well, I mein, Prigozhin tries his best to survive. He's like a bipolar guy, so now he's asking nicely Shoigu and Gerasimov, like instead of cursing at them and yelling at them, Shoigu, where is the ammo? He's like, oh, can you guys please hold the flanks of Bakhmut, pretty please, with a pretty heart on top. So it's he's just doing anything to survive. But his plan somewhat worked, by the way. Remember I told you that the plan of Prigozhin is to get the normal troops to fight for him. We've seen some videos of the Russian troops, like mobilized troops and so on. They're saying, we're right now fighting for this and this unit. We don't want to fight for this and this unit. So we want to go and fight for Prigozhin troops for Wagner in Bakhmut. And then they're basically saying we don't want to fight on the front lines where we don't get any supply, and we're gonna want to go and fight for Prigozhin. So basically, Prigozhin is trying to sell the minimum. Like I already told you that what he wants to have significant force to maybe overthrow both Gerasimov and Shoigu, or at the minimum to make sure that if they will run when the Ukrainians come into Bakhmut, then at least so the forces of Russians will not shoot him for running. Something like this. How quickly runways can upgrade it to F-16s? I don't know. Ken Patterson, thanks for $10. Georgie, what do you think about Pentagon overvaluing aid to Ukraine and will make up with another military package? I mean, like it's kind of in the main. It's good, like because that was the question that a lot of people were asking. Because overvaluing comes from the fact that depreciation of assets was not included in the cost. This is something that's been recorded for pretty much all of the supply packages. Like for example, M113s have been supplied to Ukraine, but when they're counting the M113s, they're counting the original price adjusted for the modern dollars. So they're like taking the price at when it was built, but the item has already been significantly depreciated, right? It's already an older machine that's already served its term and so on, and they just didn't count the depreciation into the price. So now they finally realized that, hey, maybe those M113s that we used during what was it called, some of the wars. But the point is, it just makes sense. So it's good. It's good. There's just one side for it. Oil Got, I know you live in Denmark, but I'm curious where you're originally from. I'm from Latvia. I can't quite place your accent. I'm from Latvia. It's one of the Baltics, Eastern Europe. But technically, I was born originally in Soviet Union. So cue the Soviet anthem. Dick, I have to prep a show for the shills. Take care. Thanks so much for dropping by, Dick. Appreciate it. Prigozhin, give me back my ammo. Yes. Yes. Thanks so much for 5 gifted subs, Adamantium. Appreciate it. Do you see, is it likely as US Republicans will force the US to stop sending aid to Ukraine? No, no, no. Ukraine Republicans support Ukraine. Like there is a very, 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 very small minority of both Republicans and Democrats that want to stop supporting Ukraine. It's a bipartisan issue. So uh, not an expert in US politics. Go ask, I don't know, Jake Bro or someone else in US that has opinion on the US politics. But from where I'm sitting and from what I'm hearing, it's a very, very, like, there are no major push to decrease support for Ukraine. There is push to increase of it. So it's a very, very small minority that speaks of cutting off Ukraine help. Gaga TV, thanks so much for $10. Pro-Russian American YouTubers amaze me how cheap they sell their country. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I told you, Bruce, like the biggest thing for like, you know, pro-Russian YouTubers and like just pro-Russian Americans is that they're losers. Like they are the fucking losers. It's like Ukraine is winning so hard, and instead of like, well, it's like, yes, we're gonna see it, they are like, it was like, oh wow, it's like let's just not irritate Russia so much because we're such a fucking losers. Because like, oh, we cannot stand up for ourselves, for our values, for what we care about in the world. No, 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 no. We need to take a punch from Russia, then we need to take a punch from China, retreat in our own shells, you know, it's like, what a fucking losers. And for me, that's kind of the biggest question. Why are they somewhat even popular in US? Because like for me, US was always like the country of winners, like the competitive, like the people that wants to be number one. You know, we want to be the strongest, the most, like, you know, it's like America, best country in the world. That's what US for me, in my perspective, is. But like these guys is like, oh no, we don't want America to be great. We want America to be super fucking losers, to like for like to not defend any of our allies or what we care about, to fuck democracy as well beyond that. So it's like, jeez. Hey Mark, thanks for 100 Canadian bucks. Don't underestimate yourself, Georgie. I don't. If that's how you spell it, yes. Finding how to donate and avoid scams is tough. Funding from frontline, small amount can make big difference. So thanks. Yes, Mark, absolutely. Zelensky himself said in the New Year's speech for the 2023, he said, in a war so big, no help is too small. So, and I really took it to heart. You know, it's like, yes, I'm now, you know, we're doing what, 15,000 or whatnot. But when I started, I was able just to donate additional $100 that I couldn't do before from my salary, because I was able to do it with this YouTube, like, because there were some kind people that watched this and even donated and supported this channel. So the fact that we're just growing and supporting Ukraine even more, it's more like it's all you. Like I'm just happy that I'm able to do more than just regular old me, just the guy that is working my own corporate job. Like I don't really. So I'm not underestimating. I'm ready. I'm just very, very happy. I'm just humbled by the attention I'm getting. Like it's really not something I was ever expecting or growing for. So I'm really happy that you enjoy it. Enjoy it more. Subscribe, like, whatever, share it, stuff like that. Anyway, Dark Warrior, the Dark Warriors, 137. Thanks for $5. I want to thank Putin for bringing peace and prosperity to all who disagree with his ideals. United the world against a common enemy. Yes. One of the major things, like people that told me when the war started, was like, oh my God, like the war has started. So we have again disarray in like Europe. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Because what I'm seeing is the Europe that was never more united. Like even we were able, like the only thing is there is a Hungary, but let's not talk about, and Austria to an extent. But let's not talk about those two. The point is like Europe starting to figure out that maybe we should kind of work together to solve real dangerous issues. We're again uniting with US because unfortunately, the tenure of Donald Trump was somewhat damaging to relationship between, and I know some people like Trump and so on. in my chat, it's fine. You're allowed to your opinion. That's fine. Stay with your opinion. Defend it. It's actually good for democracy when people are strong with their opinions. But what I'm saying is like his foreign policy from the perspective of people that are being foreign to US was significantly damaging in the warm relationships that were there with US. Like it or hate it. That's just what happened. Now with this situation, we see that it brought a lot back of that like cohesion between America and Europe back on the table. And beyond that, we also see the countries from the Pacific region joining up for the cause, like South Korea, Japan. Really, really cool. Obviously Australia, but Australia was always there. So we can trust Australia. John LSA, thanks very much for 5 gifted subs. Appreciate it. And Hill, $20. Thank you so much. Thank you for your work, Georgies. I love Ukraine Matters community. I love the community as well, guys. Like, you are really, really incredible. John Millers. Some YouTubers say Russia easily identify the F-16s at the moment it take off, intercept them. Is that true? Okay. No, that's a complete nonsense. Like that's again the I mean, like, the whole premise. Some YouTuber says, like, who gives a shit what YouTuber says? Like, I'm a YouTuber. Like, I'm just sharing my opinion. Like, it doesn't value for anything. If military expert, like people in Ukraine itself, says give us F-16s, like, okay, can military assets be destroyed on the war? Yes. Yes, that's just the nature of it. But new capabilities that F-16s will bring to Ukraine will significantly increase what Ukraine can already do. Because right now they are fighting Russian aircraft with having less their own aircraft, and their own aircraft are generation like behind Russia. Like, it's a long talk, but the point is, it's very, very hard to do what Ukraine is doing. Someone compared it. It's like Ukraine and Russia are in math game, and Ukraine has a calculator, whereas Russia has like some of the older PCs. You know, it's like Ukraine can do some calculations and so on, but Russia has a lot more capabilities. I know someone from Riga who survived the Second World War. I also know someone from Riga that survived the Second World War. Though they didn't survive alcoholism after that. So that's that. It was my grandfather, just to make sure. That's to make sure that I'm making jokes only about my close family. Ohms, beware of silver spoon, loudmouth, and very rich. Yeah, potentially. I mean, yeah, I don't... Yeah. I've seen very rich cool people. I've seen very rich bad people. So depends. OCT, yay, you're at Ukraine Matters. Have some respect. Okay, probably some internal discussion. Gord, hey, how are you doing, Gord? Thank you so much again for the drone. Gord was so cool. Gord sent the whole drone that he had to Ukrainian army. Fucking amazing. Trump is a dictator just like Putin. Yeah, it seems so. Would you support people who back Putin? No. No. Never support people that back Putin. Never. But I don't want to go into American politics because it's not my field and I am not that interested, right? So if a Trump comes, it would be very negative, you know, it's like then we can talk about it in a sense of discussing what his presidency, but discussing like Trump's, his base supporters, yada yada, you know, the red versus blue politics, it doesn't contribute anything to the war in Ukraine, right? He's still a candidate and so on. So I'll cross that bridge when it comes, like, because I cannot influence and I don't want to influence American politics. That's not my goal. And I don't have well, I mean, I potentially I have a horse in the race as a proxy because, like, obviously a person that says I will solve this conflict in one day doesn't really justify. But to be honest, maybe it's just a public speech, you know, who knows. But again, I'll let Americans decide on its own. America is great enough without me putting my nose into that. Richard Parnell, do you think that all the talks about Crimea being the goal of the first counteroffensive could be a... I'm not sure who said you that Crimea is the goal of the counteroffensive. Like that's Crimea is not the goal of the counteroffensive. We do not know the goals of the counteroffensive. Whoever says that they know the goals, they know where the counteroffensive gonna be, are lying. They have no fucking clue. Only Zaluzhny and maybe a couple of people know where the counteroffensive will go and what the goals are. Do you think that talks about could be a false flag? Lots of other potential in the north. We talked about this. Basically, in the north, there is little strategic benefit to the whole architecture of the battlefield. If Ukraine cuts the southern group in half, it's just a major change on the battlefield. If Ukraine just, for example, retakes Bakhmut and punches through, gets close to Luhansk, for example, it's nice, but like, to be honest, it's not as impressive. It doesn't change the architecture. Isolating Crimea is the goal. I believe it was Ben Hodges that was describing this exact, that Ukraine can kill like all of the troops in Bakhmut, all of, like every Russian, and they will get more. But like retaking Crimea is what is gonna significantly change this this war on its head. Supervisor, thank you so much for joining. Welcome. Ukraine will be done with Russia with both elections. If F-16s come, yes. How close are the numbers of artillery of both Russian sides and Ukrainians? Close. But we don't know how much artillery was supplied to new brigades. So the problem of counting artillery is that Ukraine has two armies. Ukraine has the army that is defending, and Ukraine has the army that's going to be counterattacking. So whenever we get the number of artillery pieces, it doesn't represent how many of these artillery pieces are on the battlefield. So how many of them are firing and answering Russian situation. So if you just count them, like just by the number, it doesn't explain to you what's the ratio at the front line. If Ukraine engages in the counteroffensive, then we'll see, for example, a local, like the position of these artilleries. For example, Bakhmut, a lot of the artillery that were concentrated on the front line. So I think, generally speaking, if we're talking about a number of systems, then it's comparable. I believe Russia has still advantage, but it's not like crazy. I believe it's like 20-30% last analysis that I've checked. But we didn't see a lot of maybe additional artillery that was delivered to Ukraine. And secondly, a lot of that artillery still haven't been utilized and been prepared for the counteroffensive. Eduardo Guerra, thanks so much for 125 Mexican dollars, I want to say, because there is a sign of a dollar. But isn't it peso? Like, isn't it peso in Mexico? Or is it like marked as a dollar? That's actually quite interesting. Can you tell me in chat what is it? Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava, my friend, from Mexico City. I hope Mexicans can support Ukraine in the future, most likely after we fight and win our version of Maidan revolution, which seems likely in summer 2024. Gloria Ukraina. Hope so. To be honest, I really don't know what's the situation in Mexico. I've heard that there was tensions. There was like some squad fighting. I saw like squad vehicles because it was, I believe, someone got arrested. But like I'm literally like the guy on the news that only heard some stuff. Maybe if I would be born in Mexico, I would know best. Start your channel. Talk about it. I'm going to encourage people to do that. And then subscribe to those. Jeff Arnold, what are your thoughts on the turning point on Lukashenko being poisoned with polonium after now? It's a complete hoax. I think he has problems with health for sure. Yeah, I mean, but he's also quite old. I think all of these polonium, it's like it's in the same garbage bin as like Putin has cancer and so on. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. You know, like everyone wants to be a fucking, what's it called, like Dr. House. Yeah. Joe Canis, thanks for $20. Appreciate it. William Morrison, thanks for $10. Keep up the good work. I will. Until victory. Until victory. Kim C, what did the turning point? When did the turning point happen, or is it still to come? Yeah, it definitely happened. Many people put different turning points. Some people put it at the Kyiv offensive and say that this was like when Putin's plans got completely destroyed. Other people say that it is when HIMARS arrived and that completely demolished any kind of Russian logistic networks and exposed the whole problems of Russian logistics. Then some people say the turning point happened when Russia left Kherson, because at that point, like basically Russia gives up on the whole right side of the Dnipro River. They're not crossing it again. Like it's impossible. Like it's just too much of a challenge for them. Some people say that this has happened when Russia completely exhausted their assault potential in their winter assault, when their massive strike of their massive 200,000 force ended up just completely being destroyed under Vuhledar and grinded in Bakhmut. So there are many options to say. For me personally, I believe HIMARS. I believe HIMARS was the personally, but any of these points can be taken, so it's a little bit of a personal preference. Hey Mark, thanks so much for $100. Appreciate it. This is for your pizza fund. You're looking scrawny. Oh my God, no, I'm fat. Jesus Christ, dude. Is scrawny? It's like, I need to Google the word. Give me a second. Scrawny. Person or animal unattractively thin and bony. Jesus, no. I am fat. Dude, like people have been writing me angry comments, like, well, trolls mostly. It's like, oh my God, you so fat. It was like, your mom's so fat. So on. That's so stupid. Jesus Christ. It's like we're discussing war here. Like literally, do you think I care how I look? I don't. Like it's fine. I can be as fat as I want. My wife says she will love me at least for the next 15 kilograms. Captain Hello, Mamang F-16 flew toward Denmark will send. I don't know yet. We'll see. Denmark has quite a fleet. And a lot of them were scheduled to be sent away. I believe. Yeah, I don't know. It's a guessing game. I don't know. I really cannot say the number. Mark, I was trying to be polite. That's why. That's fine. I'm just joking around, Mark. Thank you so much. NGC, sorry, I just turned in. What is stalling the counter-offensive? Isn't the weather now? What's your opinion, please? I mean, for me, nothing is stalling. I always said on this channel that I'm expecting the counter-offensive to be more like end of May, June type of a action. And to be honest, some of it is already starting, like some elements of the counteroffensive are already underway. So it's not that like, but this is where I'm getting, like, remember I got a lot of shit when I was describing what the counteroffensive is. And then people says like, oh no, you're describing the effects of the counteroffensive. But obviously everyone wants to see like the big push through, like everyone wants to see Russia demolished. It's going to take time. You need to understand that Russia has built a lot of fortifications on the south side. And Ukraine doesn't want to fight like Russia. Ukraine doesn't want to just charge into the minefields. Because like some of the people was like, oh my God, Georgie, but wouldn't Ukraine just explode on the mines just like Russians did? Yes, if you just drive into the minefields like an idiot, what Russians did. But Ukraine is not going to do that. Ukraine is going to deploy a lot of different capabilities. They are setting up the battlefield so they don't do that. Right now, even Budanov is acknowledging that fortifications that Russia built are significant. And while, as I said, I personally believe that Russian troops in those fortifications will not stand and fight, and they will run, and Ukraine will overcome those fortifications, it doesn't mean that Ukraine shouldn't prepare for that event. Remember that even as we speak, Ukraine is getting more and more weapons delivered to it. So potentially they're waiting for additional brigades, waiting for additional capabilities, and so on and so on. Like for example, Denmark and I believe Netherlands, they promised 100 Leopard 1 tanks, right? If Ukraine gets 100 more Leopard tanks, then it would be great. Because in war, and generally, like in this kind of competition, your whole point is to leverage the advantage that you're having. So if you are already winning in a part of the battlefield, so if you have more resources dedicated, so you just win bigly, like you win really big. So if you win really big, then adding even more resources means that you win even harder. So the more resources Ukraine has, the harder it is that the harder they will win over Russians. And harder win over Russians mean less casualties. Fabian, as an Austrian, I'm sorry for our government. It's okay, man. I know. It's a little bit sad. It's very, very sad. It's not just the government, unfortunately, Fabian. I'm going to put some salt in your wound. A lot of Austrian companies were the companies that were supplying Russia with the technological equipment that it put into their tanks, that it used in their planes, that it put them in their missiles. And a lot of those companies were also Austrian. I mean, isn't Raiffeisen Bank that still is operating in Russia and basically giving loans to all of the Russian militaries and whatnot? Raiffeisen, was it Austrian bank? Raiffeisen Bank. Is it Austrian? Yes, Austrian. Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, as much as I understand that your pain and so on, that you have to get it, but we need to call what it is. Yeah. So it's not just the government. There's a lot of companies that are also basically doing deals with Russia and earning blood money. I believe Kraut did a recent expose on the neutrality and the Austrian and Swiss neutrality compared what it is with regards to the war in Ukraine. Richard Parnell, Poland has 12 dual-seat F-16 trainers where they would certainly have been quietly training UAE pilots. The UAE just needs to get logistics to support F-16 sorted. Yes. A number of foreign F-16 pilots have already volunteered to fly to Ukraine. Yes, very correct, Ken. Oliver, I can't imagine peace without a DMZ. Your thoughts? Yeah, I mean, that's what Budanov says. Budanov says we're going to build a 100-kilometer wide demilitarized zone in Russia. It's getting too late for me. Slava Ukraine. Geroim Slava boy. Thanks for much dropping by. Appreciate it. Are you worried about the treaty Russia and Uganda signed today? No. Kripke, it's Austrian. Hitler was Austro-Austrian. I don't put these parallels directly. It's kind of a little bit of, it's too much generalization for me. Just me, Eagle. Oh, sorry. Yeah, remember, writing comment to me, write at Ukraine Matters, 2 words, and I will read it, maybe. At least I try. Gerard Gertjes, I heard the Kakhovka Dam is broken. The Hinterland is flooding and the water level reservoir is getting too low for cooling the NPP. Do you have more information about this? We've heard this, but there was little to no confirmation. So it like the rumors were there, but and I've heard people that are even like known talking heads talking that Russia is getting some water down, but we haven't heard the confirmation yet. So again, like nuclear blast, nuclear radiation does not do anything for Putin. Like there is zero to no benefits of them like blowing up the nuclear power plant. Like it doesn't give anything. It doesn't win anything. The Western powers already said that if you just blow up the nuclear power station, we're gonna judge it like you used nukes. So it's it's a little bit of mute point. Like it's a little bit of like, to put you under stress. So you in the West talk about it. Like, have you thought about this? That nuclear weapons of Putin are working because you're talking about this and because you're worrying about this, right? So the nuclear weapons, they may be useless in this war. He will never use it. But just the fact that you're talking about it, the fact that you're worried about it, already is giving effect to Russia. Stop giving in to Russia. Like, listen to me. For the pizza diet fund, yes. Lets you go 20 kilos, lowering wife safely butter. Yes, thank you. Now it's good, Mark. Thanks so much. Captain Hell, no, Mark. He needs to bike to work and get him semi-fit. Send money to the bike fund. This is Denmark. We bike everywhere. Ah, Captain Halo. But I have an electric cargo bike. Touche that. I have a electric, what is it called? Christiania bike. If you don't know, try to Google Christiania bike and you will see it. I know some people, like I showed it to Ali and she was like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? So it's quite a fun little contraption. Very popular in Denmark. Dark Warrior. It is fun to speculate and guess what both sides will do, but when people claim that it is 100 the plan is when people go too far. Thanks for admitting the ignorance on such matter. I mean, it's not ignorance, it's like we can discuss the obvious points of interest for Ukraine, right? There was like a great thread, I believe, by Thomas C. Thiner on Twitter, and he basically like circled, this is important because of this. This is important because of this. This is important because of this. So Ukraine would want to get like this, because it's little to no value to capture empty fields, right? So if we assume that Ukraine wants to get to Crimea and like because it's a big goal, then we can assume that Ukraine would want to capture some of the strategically important parts. And knowing that, we can assume what kind of operations there will be. But yes, you're completely right. When people 100% start saying is like, oh my God, this is what Ukraine will do, and Ukraine should have been doing it like a year ago or like a month ago, because everyone was saying that the operation should start, despite like the whole point of people saying that the operation is about to start or will not start ever, is like the confusion is the point, because like it's war. People's lives are on the stake. That's why this element of surprise is very, very important. Malcolm Cox, starting a campaign for Eileen to start a duet with Mark Kay singing Brother in Arms. What? Just me. Okay. John Underwood. Vasimivka, Melitopol, Yatmivka, one might want to think about leaving a way for Russian troops to withdraw to Russia proper if the land north of Crimea to Russia, route Kerch Bridge. Maybe. Depends what Zaluzhny wants. There are options. With Storm Shadow now, there are options. Little Bubs, how likely would a Moldovan attack on Transnistria be during the Ukraine war? Transnistria has a large stockpile of weapons Ukraine could use. With that, firstly, Moldova doesn't have an army like that would match. Like currently, the army that is in Transnistria is literally bigger than Moldovan army, so Moldova cannot retake Transnistria. Secondly, we know for a fact that storage facility is satchel charged. So they will blow it up as soon as before it gets captured. So I know what you're thinking, but it would be just a big hole in the ground that they would capture at the end. So it's a little bit of it's a nice thought process that, oh my God, would be so nice. But when you start thinking about it, then it's like, doesn't work. If China wants to start a role in peacemaking, then Russia. Okay, so with peace is like, and everyone that is proposing, like it was the Pope that proposed peace plan, and it was like the South African that proposed peace plan. It was like, I believe, Brazilian that proposed for peace plan. Guys, this is Russian propaganda, because what Russia wants to bring, like, because right now Zelensky is doing a big and important part. So he is saying we have a peace proposal, right? We have Ukraine 10-step plan to peace. It's a very simple and clear message of what should happen in Ukraine. So what Russia is right now doing is it's pulling all the string of all the puppets, of all of the favors, everything that they can do to muddy the water and say like, well, like Zelensky has a peace plan, yes, but there's also like this peace plan, but there's also this peace plan. So what they want to put a lot of peace plans out there in the media, and they don't care if the peace plans are valid or invalid. So what they want you to discuss multiple other options to Zelensky. Like, so you say, basically they want to pollute the word peace plan. So Zelensky's peace plan, peace formula that he's proposing is now being actively destroyed by the Russian propaganda. So all of these countries, their peace plans, whatever they're offering, is just playing into the Russian propaganda that is just muddying the water, because none of those are realistic. That is one thing. Second thing, the important part, this more goes to like the aspect of what peace means, especially for Ukrainians, is that one very important word escapes from a peace scenario. So whenever someone is proposing a peace plan, they forget to add the word just. Because if a peace is not just, is it a lasting and stable and good peace, right? We completely disregard the word just when we're talking. When people are coming to different media shows or so have a talking head outside in public or whatnot, politicians, whenever they say we need to give peace, and this is also what Donald Trump is saying, I will get peace. The question that needs to be asked, is this a just peace? Because if it's not a just peace that will compensate for people losing like members of their family, that will compensate cities being completely wiped out of the face of the planet from Ukraine, is that a just peace? People say it's like, we need do UN even like continue as an organization if unjust peace is accepted? That are the fundamental questions to ask when we're talking of any kind of peace deal or end of war as a peace negotiation. Is it just or is it peace? Is it just or is it not? And that's the question, not about peace. It's not a question about like, do we want peace? Everyone wants fucking peace. It's like, what we want is a just peace, and what Ukraine needs is a just peace. Kellen Dunn, thank you for being a voice of reason. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for 200 bucks. Much love from Canada and respect and love for you. Thanks. Love spells. Big love. How do you spell the bike? Christiania bike. Yeah, people already wrote it in chat. Air sirens going on in Ukraine right now. Explosions in Kiev. AD working. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. I'll catch up with this later on. Dark Warrior, when I said ignorance, I was saying that we are ignorant on the actual objectives. I was not calling you ignorant in general. Lol. Ah, okay, no, I didn't read it this way. So I read it as like we are ignorant too. Yeah. So if I, never mind. It's all good. Captain Hello. So do I. Nice. Nice. No rant, did I miss? Ah, you didn't. I just ranted about the peace plan. So you didn't miss. Or if you did miss, get like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes back. John Underwood, if the Russian army loses the north and south flanks of Bakhmut, the Ukraine will encircle Wagner units, so Prigozhin is trying to get the Russian army to do their job. Pretty much, yes. But I'm not expecting Ukrainians to encircle Bakhmut. What we were talking about, Ukrainians potentially encircling Bakhmut, if Ukraine will engage their assault brigades to do so. So obviously not with the forces that they're having right now on the ground. And if Ukraine will engage those forces, then it will be a different kind of offensive. Then we're not sure how much of those Ukraine will be able to dedicate of the south. We have heard that right now Ukraine has engaged potentially. It's it was just like one news article that I read about this, that they engaged the 47th Brigade, and 47th Brigade is one of the new brigades that were specifically trained for assault action. So potentially we will see that the situation in Bakhmut will start getting worse for the Russians, so they will pull more and more and more troops to save that direction. Do you think Ukraine will destroy Kerch Bridge? Yes. Oh, yes, I think Ukraine will destroy Kerch Bridge. Great Sutherland. If Ukraine blows the Kerch Bridge now, the Russians will have to stay and fight. Not stay and fight, stay and die. Best to leave it now. No, obviously, yeah. It's have no way to fall back. Then they are more likely to stay and fight. Yes, but for example, imagine Ukraine is already breaking through. Panic spreads. Some Russians already run over the bridge. Like the panic is completely crazy. It's because panic is extremely contagious. And then Ukraine destroys the bridge. And then they're like, oh, and then they just like completely lose it. So I believe that might be even more devastating for them. When are we going to see the T-34s with triple layered cope cages on the battlefields? The meme must be completed. Agree, awesome HPT. Agreed, yes. Yes. Hi George Boy, was the last stream brutal? So glad you're streaming as a follow-up. Did not agree with those two guys at all. Yeah, I mean, they're telling a lot of the general American vibe talking points. Like it's like they are over treating Russia. They are still like, and then this is a longer discussion, you know, to discuss every single point and so on. But the general perception is something that I've seen a lot, is again overvaluing Russia, overvaluing who Putin is, overvaluing Russian, I don't know, mentality, overvaluing Russian culture and so on. Because it's very easy to see Russian culture as big and great when Russian culture was actively destroying records of the countries and cultures that it subjugated. It's a colonial empire that destroyed the notion of people that lived within their borders. And then we look at the history books. We go into libraries in our own countries. We try to study by those books, but majority of those books are written by Russian historians because no other historians were able to, or allowed to write the books about their nations and so on. So that's kind of the problem with Russia and Great Russia narrative, is that a lot of the world knows about Russia is written by Russians themselves over history, or someone from the West writing about Russians by interacting with them. After Ukraine wins, how long will Transnistria last? I don't think it will last long. No, I think it will be like the benefits of Ukraine winning to the world are immense. Georgie, will you sell me the bridge? Can I have a please destroy it myself? If Crimean bridge will be destroyed, or rather I say when, and when I will go to Ukraine, I will try to pull every connection that I have, and I will actually get a piece of that bridge, and I will sell it. How about that? Is it a deal? Is it a deal, chat? Let's make this deal. Like we had a deal about the Bakhmut and stuff. Now, new deal. When Ukraine wins, I will try to get as much as I can to get my hands on the Kerch Bridge, on the piece of Kerch Bridge, and then we sell it out. Caitlin, need to get some sleep. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate it. Mark, I'm USA resident. There's a bunch of us who were saying they were out of touch. Potentially. Rockus Anonymous, sad to see the latest update in the deep state map. Bakhmut did its job. There is no Bakhmut anymore. Like, we need to understand that Bakhmut, yeah, like the correct thing is like, yes, Bakhmut is like Bakhmut did everything. Like it overdid it, or territory known as Bakhmut, because there is no city there. Like it's just a pile of rubble. Even like when Ukraine finally recaptures Bakhmut, to be honest, it's going to be a big question if it will be rebuilt, because it's cheaper to build a city in an open field than to rebuild whatever is left of that. So the unfortunate part is that Bakhmut is now gone. There is no more Bakhmut. And whatever Russia thought they were capturing is already doesn't matter. Gore Simpson, they fear the truth and trying to draw lines with history that doesn't always work. Yeah. I mean, it's because I'm not a historian, like I'm just a normal guy, like, a normal guy with personal experiences, and I'm just sharing my personal experience. And I'm just trying to logically look at things that are happening right now without having like a deep academic knowledge or whatnot about stuff. What I'm seeing that Russia is run by stupid. Russia is a country where majority of their governance is driven by people that are that trying to be best at serving their master, at serving what their master wants, and that completely on puts on the other side any kind of autonomy and creativity and smart decisions. So when we're talking that, like, for example, Russia and the Soviet Union was the same entity, that's not completely true. And especially the major thing, like, additionally, is that people look at Russia and they discuss Russia as this unending entity that started from, like, the Moscovan Kievan, the Moscowy part in the Kievan Rus, and then up to the current date. But that's not how it is. Like, it wasn't a single country. It was a country that was conquered. It was a country that lost a lot of things. It was a country that didn't itself. Like, so the only difference was that when it was the Russian Empire, it was a colonial empire that colonized neighboring countries, colonized indigenous people. And then when the Soviets came, that were completely against of whatever the like the imperium, the imperium of Russia. Sorry, all the Warhammer fans are now fighting. So the Russian Empire, what it stood for, and then the Soviets came, and they're like completely opposite. And then we see Stalin doing like a complete totalitarian regime where instead of like colonizing, he's just completely deconverting. He's destroying the indigenous population. He's destroying all of the culture. He's completely ripping apart any kind of, he's like starving the Ukrainian population and forcing everyone to be inside of the Soviet Union. And then when people finally left it, they were so happy. And now we have Putin coming in and building a kleptocratic state that is built on it's a gang. It's basically a mafia state. It's a mafia state that has nothing to do with what the Soviet Union was and what it stood for. That has nothing to do with what the Russian Empire was and what it stood for. That has nothing to do with the Mongol-driven Muscovy. That has nothing to do with the Muscovy that was in a Kievan Rus. Yet they built this propaganda narrative that was all and unending. That is just factually not true. Georgie, could you please ask Ukraine drone units to mix ammunition, nitrite fertilizer from Ukraine's farms? Diesel makes ANFOS high explosive to give drone grenades bigger bang. I'm pretty sure people already figured it out. Like there has been so many trials and errors in drones and explosives in Ukraine. I will trust them. So I mean, I will copy paste your what you wrote, and I will send it to people that I know. But I would be expecting that they already know. So there is that. Muscovites are alternative term. Yeah, for sure, Muscovites and so on. Fun fact. In Latvia, we don't call Russia Russia. In Latvia, we call Russia Krievia. This is because the Baltic people, they knew the tribes of Krivichi that were living inside of the Kievan Rus. And Krivichi was like relative to Russia. They were not Muscovites, but still. So since then, Russia is actually called Krievia, which is like from that time. So it's not even Russia. So we don't call it Russia. That's why when Ukraine says, "Oh, we want to call not Russia but Muscovy," it's a complete right of the country to call other country whatever they want. You know how many names Germany has? Try counting. What's your thought on foot in mouth Macron? He makes Europe look weak and has an after-war agenda, I believe. Macron's agenda, he always wanted to be the center of Europe. He is a man that really likes attention. He really likes personal achievement. Like, he would be a great autocrat. But he is born with the DNA of a democracy and the French. But he really wanted to be the person that would drive Europe to its future, to be more autonomous, to be more itself a Europe. But unfortunately for him, the events just didn't go his way. And I believe that he's still salty, but I believe that overall he has good feeling, kind of good intentions, but who he is, how he rules, and what messages he brings, I believe he's not catching up with the times and flow of Europe and where it's heading. But that's what I think. That's just my thought about it. This is so true. I recently spoke with a Russian that illustrated there has always been Russian people, only back down when I pointed that there hasn't been people. Yes. I mean, Russia, right? Even right now, there is no Russian people. There's just population in Russia. One of the biggest things that defines Ukrainian society is the notion of unitedness and statehood. It is not present in modern day Russia. Modern day Russia, they just say like, oh, but we were ordered to do so stuff, you know? That's why we're going to war, because like there were orders and so on, because a person that is higher up has said that I should. And not all of them. There are different people, you know, but there is a general notion that this is the thing. So it's like they don't have their own personal ideas. And the same way, because what like the point is, what Putin right now is doing is going against the best interest of the Russian state and the Russian society. If a Russian population, if a Russian people would have a notion of a country, a notion of a state that they are a part of and that they are responsible for, like for example Ukrainians are having right now, that they're standing up and fighting for, then the Russians would realize that what Putin is doing is working against their best interest, that this leader is gone, like he's not working in the best interest of the country anymore. But because they are so desensitized, because they're so devolved and disconnected from the notion of what a state and a unity of nation is, they do not participate in this agenda. They do not participate in a life of a state. Russia is a state in a name only, and the population that is inside Russia is just what it is, just population, not a nation. At least they were molded by Putin into that, and they accepted that fate. It wasn't me, sorry, I can't help it, I'm falling asleep, but it's I will watch your stream tomorrow again. Lots of love from Germany. Thank you so much. It wasn't me. I'm actually gonna wrap it up. We're already streaming right over an hour. I just wanted to do this a little bit of a quick stream to thank you so much guys for being here with me. Thank you so much for donating to Ukrainian military. We're gonna do more work to help donate units on the front lines. We're gonna do it all good. I will report until victory. I will be here for you. Slava Ukraini. I love you all, guys. And I'll answer one more question because later on. Love you all, guys. Please, 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 please continue believing in the armed forces in Ukraine. Trust in armed forces in Ukraine, and we will win. I'll see you next time.